Good morning, Tigers. My name is Keller Matthews with your campus weather forecast for today. And the big story for today is going to be a significant severe weather threat for this evening. We're looking at some potential very destructive winds as well as some flooding associated with that severe weather. Now, we're going to start off with a look at the Storm Prediction Center Outlook. That's a branch of the National Weather Service that specializes in severe weather prediction. They have Columbia in a level 3 out of 5 enhanced risk for this afternoon into this evening as far as severe weather goes. Now, that's a little bit different even from the outlook that they put out yesterday, as we are now well into that orange area again. That's that enhanced risk. So, definitely going to be watching out for those storms to start firing off as we move later on into the afternoon. So, what are the threats that we could see with this severe weather? Well, tornadoes, hail, they're certainly possible, but the one I'm focusing on is going to be that damaging wind threat. I've got us in a high risk for those winds. We're looking at potentially 70 to 80 miles an hour straight line winds as those storms start to make their way into the region. I've also got us at an elevated risk for flooding. That's because we're really going to get a lot of rain in a very short amount of time. So, particularly if you're going to be traveling, that's going to be something to watch out for. So, let's start off with that wind threat. Let's take a little bit of a deeper dive into that. This is another outlook from the Storm Prediction Center, and we are at a 45% risk. That's a level 4 out of 6 as far as the Storm Prediction Center scale goes. And we're also in, you see those dashed lines there, that means we're in a hatched area, which indicates that those winds could even be a little more intense perhaps than just a more traditional outlook. Also, taking a look at the flooding potential as the storm starts to make its way through the region, we're looking at potentially an inch and a half plus of accumulation by 6:30 tomorrow morning. That's really why that flash flood potential exists as we move into the overnight. And you can see we are currently under a flash flood watch here in Columbia because of that. Now, I know some of you are going to be probably traveling home this weekend, so going to be something to watch out for. Never drive through a flooded roadway. Just keep an eye on things and turn around, don't drown. That's definitely something to always remember. Now, let's take a look at the setup for this storm. Currently, we're looking at clear skies, plenty of sunshine. That's going to help to warm us up very quickly as we move throughout the afternoon. That's going to be another thing that'll help to really trigger some of these thunderstorms. Another big thing is going to be this cold front that we currently have off to our west. We're dealing with a lot of humid air here in Columbia, and as that air starts to mix in with that cold front, as it makes its way east and into the region, that's really going to be what's going to fire off those storms. It's also going to bring with it a lot of cool air in the wake of this storm, so we're going to see temperatures cooling down significantly as we move into tomorrow morning. So, what's the timing of all this? That can be a little bit tricky. I think in the afternoon, around the 3 to 6 hour, we could potentially see some isolated supercells, but our main line of storms is going to come in, I think, right around 7 o'clock, and you can see that on radar as it starts to push its way into Columbia. That'll stick around for a couple hours. It'll start to clear out by around 10:30. Can't rule out maybe a second round as we move into the overnight around 11:45 to midnight. Maybe we could see some more rain coming through. I don't expect that to be anything overly severe, however. Now that'll start to make its way out. We'll see some clearing skies tomorrow morning. Potential for some clouds as we move into the overnight on Saturday. Nothing overly significant. And then those will clear out and make for a nice clear Sunday as these storms start to make their way in and out of the region. Now, as for keeping updated with your forecast as far as these storms start to making their way into the region, there are several weather stations that you can keep an eye on. They all have their own weather apps as well that I highly suggest you download. KRCG, rather, channel 13, that's going to be your CBS affiliate here in Columbia. KMIZ, channel 17, that'll be your ABC affiliate, and then KOMU, channel 8, your NBC affiliate. So make sure you're staying updated. Things can change in a hurry. And again, as I said, there are some definitely severe threats associated with these storms. So always make sure that you're keeping an eye on that forecast. There's also going to be a campus weather forecast posted for you this afternoon. So make sure you watch that, as things can certainly change as those storms start to fire off. Now let's talk about your conditions for the day as we move into this afternoon. Currently in Columbia, 71 degrees. You see that humidity at 78%. A lot of moisture going to help these storms start to fire off as we move into the afternoon. As we move into the next couple of hours, things are going to warm up in a hurry. As I mentioned, all that blue sky and sunshine going to really warm us up to 82 degrees by 3 p.m. this afternoon. You see that wind as the cold front starts to intrude on our region. That'll help to also kick off some of these storms. Moving into this afternoon, your high temperature, 84 degrees. You see those strong storms and wind. Obviously, the main weather threat for this afternoon, winds out of the south at 20 miles an hour. Moving into the overnight, temperatures are going to drop quite a bit as the cold front starts to make its way through, 44 degrees. And as I mentioned, those storms are going to linger as we move into the evening. So if you're going to be going out tonight, make sure you have a plan for somewhere you can go to not only stay dry, but stay sheltered as those winds start to make their way through the region. Moving into tomorrow, the cold front's going to cool us off quite a bit, 58 degrees, but we're also going to see plenty of sunshine. So looking at a very calm weekend as we move into that weekend and move into next week. And as for your 7-day forecast, those temperatures, as I mentioned, will start to cool off, but we get a very quick rebound moving into next week on Monday and Tuesday, back into the low to mid 80s. Next chance for some active weather potentially at the end of next week.